I love Toyotathon. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. A very happy Thanksgiving to everybody celebrating. It's much better when the Packers get a win. Grossi, and today we are going to be talking about the Green Bay mother-loving Packers getting the win over the Detroit Lions with a score of 31-24. And a few things coming out of this game. One, this is the first time that the Packers have swept the Lions since 2020. So it has been 5 long years since they've been able to do that. On top of that, they are still undefeated in the division. They are a perfect 3-0 with the Bears coming up a week from Sunday. The Bears, of course, have a very important game against the Philadelphia Eagles. But for the Packers, you could not have asked for better here. Now, there were times where the defense was infuriating because the lack of tackling was horrible. And Carrington Valentine, you have been incredible all season in coverage, but that was a very bad tackle on Jameson Williams. On top of that, Devontae Wyatt had to get carted off after being rolled up on. That injury did look significant. Hopefully, it's not as bad as it looks, but at the time, he did have to get carted off. We'll see if there's an update from Matt LaFleur, but that would be a huge loss on that defensive line. And heading into this game, just like the Lions, who were dealing with injuries in their secondary, dealing with injuries on their offensive line, the Packers were dealing with their own injuries as well. They didn't have Lucas Van Ness once again. They had no Quay Walker in the middle. They had no Matthew Golden. And during this game, not only did Devontae Wyatt get banged up, but also Edgerrin Cooper did as well. And yet, this Packers offense looked fantastic at times. Josh Jacobs returned. He had himself a pretty nice game, won 17 carries for 83 yards. The Packers had a total of 125 rushing yards on the day, but this was really all about Jordan frackin' Love. Jordan Love, for I think the third or fourth time in his career now, had a 4-touchdown game, went 18 for 30, 234 yards, 4 touchdowns, and they didn't allow a single sack. So a huge shout out to the offensive line, who was also doing a pretty good job opening up some running lanes today. Dontavian Wicks was one of the players of the game. Not only did he have that very clutch 4th down grab that wound up sealing the game, but he was our leading receiver, 6 catches for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. Christian Watson also had himself a day, 4 catches for 80 yards and another touchdown off a 51-yard pass from Jordan Love, which was an absolute beauty. And what did the Packers do right today? In that first half, they dominated time of possession, and while the Lions were able to eventually catch up, the Packers went 2 for 2 in the red zone today. They were 3 for 3 on 4th down, including that very clutch 4th down call at the very end of the game. The Packers had an opportunity to punt it away because their defense had been playing well, but they decided to trust their receivers, and like I said, Wicks just made a phenomenal grab. So honestly, there is very little to complain about with the offense today because they looked really damn good. Taking a look at the defense, Micah Parsons, he had 2 sacks this past Sunday. He picked up right where he left off. 2.5 sacks today, 8 QB pressures, and 4 QB hits. He was sensational on the field today. And honestly, Micah Parsons has just been a radical game changer for this defense, and especially the past couple of weeks. He did really well against the Lions the first time they played in week 1 this season. He continued that today. And even though guys like Rashawn Gary, who started off really hot, haven't really been doing so well, the fact that Parsons is getting double teamed almost every single play, it allows for other guys to get opportunities. And hopefully when Lucas Van Ness is fully back healthy, we'll see that defensive line at full strength. But again, we have to see how Devontae Wyatt actually is with that injury. Taking a look at the Lions offense, Goff had a really great game. He went 20 for 26, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, but was sacked 3 times. They went for it twice on 4th down and went 0 for 2. Very reminiscent of the 0 for 5 game against the Philadelphia Eagles just a couple of weeks ago. And one of those 4th downs, it just hit Jameson Williams in the hands and he dropped it. And so because of that, the Packers got the football. So Packers got bailed out a little bit there. Gibbs, 20 carries for 68 yards. The Packers allowed 119 rushing yards. Overall, considering what Gibbs did against the Giants just this past Sunday, I'd say that was a pretty good game for the run defense. Their leading receiver was Jameson Williams, 7 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown. He went off as Amon-Ra St. Brown left early in that game and did not return return with an ankle injury. He also got rolled up on by his own offensive lineman, so hopefully his injury is not significant either. And the officiating in this game, oh, it was a pain in the ass. Yeah, the Wicks touchdown, in which I originally thought that he did not catch that ball, but they're saying that he caught the ball and got that right foot down, giving them Packers the first touchdown of the day, and that was on 4th down. And then later in that game on 4th and short, they had a false start, but Matt LaFleur called a timeout. However, he called a timeout definitely after the offensive lineman moved. The commentators, again, and I watched this game on mute, the commentators said that, oh, he was screaming for a timeout, so they got awarded that timeout, and eventually Romeo Doubs got himself a touchdown. However, there was also some blatant pass interference calls that were missed on the Lions, and we just sit here, and anytime we have to talk about the officiating, it is not a good time. But yeah, it just was not great today. And now taking a look at the Packers going forward, as I mentioned, this is the first time that they swept the Lions in 5 years. They're 3-0 in the division. They got a critical game against the Chicago Bears, and if the Bears lose, the Packers will once again be number 1 in the NFC North. And considering the Packers are doing much better in the division from where they were last year, I'm feeling pretty darn good. They got 3 divisional games left, 2 against the Bears, and they are going to be playing the Vikings once again, who are struggling at the moment. And then they got the Broncos and the Ravens to round out the rest of the year. The Broncos game is definitely going to be tough. We'll see how the Bears play, especially when they get pieces of their secondary back, as it is expected that they're going to get Kyler Gordon and Jalen Johnson back tomorrow. But overall, I could not be happier with this Packers performance. Toyotathon is officially on. Jordan Love in that offense was surgical at times today. Some really big-time throws from Jordan. And yeah, they didn't turn the ball over. They only had 3 penalties, so they definitely have cleaned those things up over the past couple of weeks. And for right now, the Packers are sitting pretty and are just waiting for the Bears to hopefully lose so the Packers could be number 1 in the NFC North once again. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always send me at TomGrossiComedy.com, and a big shout and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel, and a very happy Thanksgiving to everyone who is celebrating. I appreciate the hell out of y'all. I am so thankful to be able to do this every single day. We're getting closer and closer to 1 million subscribers, so feel free to subscribe. It is free to do so. There will never be any sponsors here. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi, and as always, go Pack, go. Also, we won on the 27th. The cult still lives!